I went from being a full-time freelance photographer and filmmaker to having a part-time office job and still being a freelance creative. Usually, people go from working at an office job to working for themselves. I did it the other way around, and I've experienced some interesting things, of which I will share 7 with you. But first, it's good to give you a little bit of context so you can understand my story better. If you just want to hear what I've learned from this change, then you can go on and skip this part. Hi, my name is Wahid and I'm a photographer and filmmaker living in the Netherlands. When watching too many YouTube videos from photographers and filmmakers, it's easy to start thinking that the only way to go is to work for yourself. I used to think like this at some point, but now I have a different perspective. I bought my first camera about 5 years ago. It quickly grew into becoming my passion. I spent more time learning about photography and filmmaking than I spent time on my studies. I started with the outdoors, landscapes and nature. Then I started dipping my toes into portrait photography, shooting with strobes and flashes. And later on, video also became an important part. After getting my bachelor's degree in industrial product design, I decided that I wanted to continue as a photographer and filmmaker. Immediately after graduating, I started to work for myself. I was a full-time freelancer for about 1.5 years. It wasn't like all my weeks were filled with paid jobs, but financially I managed, partially due to back then still living at my parents' place. There was no real pressure or stress in that regard. I was also quite happy with this because back then I didn't expect to earn money at all with my camera. After getting some relatively big jobs, I thought, alright, this is it. The ball will start rolling now. Clients will see this and I'll start getting more jobs. But that didn't really happen. Some nights I wouldn't be able to fall asleep because I was worried about my future. I couldn't keep on living all the time at my parents' place and I just wanted to be independent. So at some point, about 1 year ago now, I decided to start looking for a normal job. Something that involves a camera. I didn't necessarily have to be my own boss. I just wanted to make things with a camera and earn money doing so. I wanted more stability and security. Eventually, I found this great job as a video content creator at a software company called Picker. And I can say with certainty that I'm now happier than I was about 1 to 2 years ago, when trying to make it as a full-time photographer and filmmaker. I now work 4 days a week for Picker as a video content creator, and on my day off and some evening and weekends, I work for my own photo and video clients. Taking on a normal job at first felt like a step back, or a failure perhaps. But now I think differently about this and I'd like to share some insights with you. When starting this part-time job 4 days a week, I thought there would be no way that I could start earning more money with my freelance work, because I would just have less time to put into my own business. But the opposite was true. My freelance income grew 350% compared to the year before I had this office job. How did my income grow, you wonder? Well, I think what's funny is that when I was a full-time freelancer, I was worried and stressed about getting clients. Once I got this office job and let go of that need for clients, they somehow started coming to me. I had to let go to receive or something floaty like that. Of course, it's not that simple because I did a lot of prep work in the years before. I was building a portfolio and putting my name out there. You can't expect to do nothing and for people to just reach out to you. Having this secure and stable office job covers all my needs. I could quit my freelance work entirely and still live a normal life, where I don't have to worry much about money. That security and stability eliminates the stress that I mentioned before. This allows me to think clearly and make better decisions. Last year was my most productive year ever, even though I had much less time compared to when I was living at my parents' place. Back then I had all the time in the world actually, but still I didn't do as much as I do right now. Back then my mind was too occupied with this one thing, trying to make my freelance business work and to get clients. That gave stress and created a tunnel vision. In a way, it was paralyzing, and I didn't have much energy or motivation to do other things. Now that I don't have this stress, my mind opened up and there's a lot more energy to do other things. I've gotten into this positive cycle of action, motivation, inspiration. Structure, discipline, and consistency give you freedom. You'd think that working for yourself would give you the ultimate freedom. In a way, this is definitely true, but in another way, it isn't. When working for yourself, there are just so many things to think about and to take care of, especially when your business isn't doing too well financially. Then you can experience a lot of stress. It's hard to then let go of your work and relax in the evening or the weekends. When I was full-time working for myself, I constantly had this feeling that there was something that I needed to do. I experienced guilt when, for example, just spending time gaming or doing something else. My brain was constantly busy with thoughts about getting the next client and the next paycheck. Now that I have this part-time job, after work, I know that I can sit down in the evening and just relax. Just do nothing sometimes. Because the bases are covered, there's no need to worry or to feel guilty. When you've just graduated and you start to work for yourself, your work experience is very limited. You have to discover and learn many things on your own. But when working in an office environment, with colleagues who have years of experience and a company with an established working method, you can learn a whole lot really fast, which is really valuable. When working for yourself, most of the time you are the one who decides if a photo or video is good enough or not. But how do you know if what you're thinking really is the right thing? I know that there isn't really a good or wrong in art or creative related things, but it's really good to be forced to think and look at things through a different perspective. As a freelancer, you mostly answer to yourself. But when working for a company, the work that you create also has to fit the company's style and brand. There are multiple parties and colleagues involved who can give you constructive feedback, which leads to a better end product and which makes you think differently about your work. Working at a company can come with many other great benefits, like an office space, infinite coffee and soda, lunch, snacks and fruits, software and hardware, a personal development budget, paid holidays, and many other things. In hindsight, I think I went in too deep too fast. Fresh out of university, without having a proper network, without having put your name out there, it's hard to expect to fill your weeks with paid jobs as a fresh freelancer. For some people it can work out, for me it didn't, not immediately at least. Right now, I feel like I'm in a much better position, both mentally, personally, and professionally. This tells me that I made the right decisions. What first felt as a step backwards now feels like the right step. One of the challenges that I'm facing these days is to keep a healthy balance between working part-time for Picker, working as a freelance photographer and filmmaker, and my private life. Because right now it's really easy to fill every day with work, and that can be dangerous. Successes and failures are very personal. It depends on how you look at them and how you define them. There's not one right path which everyone can follow. You and I are both on our own timeline, with our own challenges and decisions to make. I made this video because things like Instagram and YouTube can make you think that the only way to go is to work for yourself. They can make it look so perfect, simple and natural. But it is anything but that. I just wanted to show you the struggles that one can face and alternative paths that you can take. I hope you enjoyed this video, hope you got something out of it, and I'll be seeing you next time.